Hey everybody, today I'm going to show you how you can add some depth and dimension to your die cuts with distress markers. Here's a look at the card that I'm going to make today, so let's go ahead and get started. I've got a piece of Canson watercolor paper here, and I've also got this memory box die. It's called Lovely Peony Outline. It's just a gorgeous flower die, and I'm going to go ahead and place that down onto my watercolor paper. I've got some felt underneath there just because I want to emboss this. I don't want to cut through my water paper at this moment. I just want to get the impression of the flower. You can see it shifted a little bit on me, but that's okay because I just want the inner pieces of this. So not a big deal at all. I can still use this. Now I've got two distress markers here. This one is Worn Lipstick, and the other one is Barn Door I'm going to be using. Right now I am using the brush tip on the Worn Lipstick, and I'm just putting some color down on each individual petal. I'm going to come in with some water, just plain water here, and I'm going to go ahead and pretty much blend this out entirely. You're not going to see any of the brush marks anymore. I just want to get each petal covered with this pink ink, or I guess it's ink that's in those markers. I don't really know what it is, but the pigment, the color. So I will just blend that out. You can see you've got a little bit of dimension here, but I want more. So I went ahead and heat set that. You can let it air dry if you wish. But now I'm going to come in, and the distress markers have two ends on them. They have the brush tip and they have the fine tip. I'm going to come in with the fine tip at this point. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to go from the very inside, or what would be the inside of the petal, to the outer edge of it. And while you're doing this, you want to keep turning your paper so you're working in the direction of the petal. You want to go with the flow of the petal. So I'll come in and just bring that out to the edge of the petal and make it look like it's got some veins. I'm bringing this out very, very far. You'll see. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to come in again with some more water and blend this out. I'll blend it out probably, I would say, 75%. It's not going to have a lot of dimension here anymore. You're not going to see a lot of my strokes, but there will still be some in there at this point. So I'll go ahead and speed through this. I didn't want to cut any of this out, but you know, you don't want to sit through and watch me do this whole thing. So just keep blending that out and make sure you are turning that cardstock as you move along. You want to work in the direction of the petal, or it's just going to look pretty flat. I'll heat set that again once that's done, and now I'm going to come in with my Barn Door. Again, I'm going to be using the fine tip on the marker, and I'm going to come in again at the very inside, or what would be the inside of the flower petal, and I'll bring this out again pretty far, not as far as I brought the pink, but pretty far. And I'm not making as many veins, I guess you could say, as I did with the pink. So I'm working in layers basically, and each layer I'm adding less and less color and blending it out less and less. So here you can see I'm coming back in and just adding a little bit more color to each of the petals, and it really looks like a hot mess right now, but I promise it'll be gorgeous in the end. And then again, I'm going to come in with some water. My brush is not as wet as it has been the past two times. It's pretty dry. You can see me taking it over to my damp baby wipe there and getting the majority of the water out of the brush before I even bring it to the paper. Again, I am just turning this and moving it, and I've got each of my little lines there from my marker going with the direction of the flower petal. So again, keep turning it, keep working that in, and then I'm going to come in, and I have just scribbled a little bit of that pink on. It's my palette. It's just a piece of cardstock that I've laminated. This is my smaller one I use for when I'm just using a few colors. Now I'm going to come in with that, and I'm going to bring it in from the outside edge of each petal towards the red. I just want to get that red blended in a little bit more. It was looking very harsh against the pink, and the pink was kind of fading out. So I will just blend that in from the outside of the petal into the red. Again, just to get that blended in and make it look more cohesive on the flower petals. Again, this is still looking like a hot mess, but I promise it will turn out in the end. Now this is going to be my last layer. I'm going to come in and I'm going to keep picking this up so I can see where the very, very inside of each flower petal is. And I'm just using very little ink, very few strokes again, just to give the innermost edge of each petal some depth and dimension. So I'll go ahead and speed through this part. Again, just remember to keep turning that cardstock and go with your directions of your petals. That is the most important part of this. It's not going to look realistic if you go in your opposite directions. There you can see it's done. I'm going to give it one more drying with my heat tool there, and you can see it looks awful. But here's where it's going to start looking better. So because I embossed this die into my cardstock, my die is going to pop right back into place in those grooves. I can slip it right back in there and place it back in my die cutting machine, and I can run that through, and so each one of my petals will look perfect once it comes out. I've got a piece of cardstock here, and it measures 3 by 5.5. And I'm going to go ahead and cut my die out from that. I do want to center that because that is going to be where I inlay my pieces. I also cut out the die from a piece of black cardstock. And again, just run that through. I've got some double-sided adhesive, and I am attaching a piece of just regular plain typing paper, a small square of that, to the back of my white piece there because I'm going to need something to adhere my inlay pieces to. I've got my black outline there, and I'm going to go ahead and place that in. I'm using glossy accents to put this down. You can use any adhesive, your favorite adhesive. And now I went ahead and left my pieces inside the die cut so I can just pick them up and pop them right back into place over on the other side, and I don't have to dig through a pile of pieces to try and find just the right one that goes in this space. Again, I'm going to be using glossy accents to put all of these pieces down. And I do have my quick sticks tool over to the right there, just in case I need it. And I do end up using it for my little, you can see right there, my little pieces that are the innermost tiny pieces. So I'm just going to put the last few of those down. And there you can see how gorgeous that turns out to be. So now I've got this piece of, I've printed this off. It's just lined paper, and I will have this for free on my blog. I've also got, these are the horizontal, I've got vertical stripes, and I've also got some angle stripes that I'll throw up now too, just for you to print off on your laser printer, and you can foil them. I'm going to go ahead and put some gold deco foil on this and run that through my laminator. Peel that off, and I've got a perfectly foiled image there ready to go. I will just use a bit of this, and I'll save the rest of it for later. I went ahead and put that in my card panel with the flower on it into my Misty, and I've got this Lawn Fun set, and it has the Get Well Soon sentiment in it. I thought this would be the perfect card to send to somebody who is sick. It's got a gorgeous flower on it, just to brighten their day up a little bit. I'm going to use Memento Tuxedo Black ink here, just because that's what I had out on my desk. It's not my favorite black ink, but I didn't feel like digging through my drawer to find my VersaFine this time. So I'll go ahead and stamp that down. And again, because I did use my Misty, I can go ahead and stamp this again because it is the Memento and it doesn't give a very dark impression the first time you use it. So I will stamp that down again just to get it a nice rich black color. I'll go ahead and take that out, and there you can see my sentiment all ready to go. I have cut just about an inch and a quarter strip of that foiled piece that I foiled earlier, and I've put that on the right side of my card panel. I went ahead and attached my little flower panel to the left side, and then I've got a piece of just gold glitter paper that I'll attach in between each one just to give a little definition. I've used glossy accents on that piece and double-sided adhesive on the other two. I popped that onto an A2 card base, and there you can see my finished card is ready to go. I will leave you all with just a few pictures. For a complete supply list and to pick up those free printables, visit my blog, craftingwhilecaffeinated.wordpress.com. Thank you guys so much for watching, and happy crafting!